Welcome to the University of Washington. My name is Mickey Wender. This is Luke and Julie. Today we'll be working on breaststroke drills. Let's go swimming. Hello again, welcome to Seattle. I'm Mickey Wender, and today we're going to talk about some basic concepts that will help your swimming from a technique standpoint. Remember, the sport of swimming is very unique. It involves the fitness requirements of sports like biking and running, and more importantly, the technique and fine motor skills of sports like tennis and golf. We're going to focus on these videos on the techniques, the basic skills necessary to achieve a lifetime of success in your sport. The purpose of these videos is to focus on the basic techniques necessary to be successful in your sport. Remember, swimming is technique focused. Practice does definitely not make perfect. Practice makes permanent. You could practice the wrong thing all day, it's still going to be wrong. Our mission in these videos is to focus on the basic techniques and skills that will lead you to long-term success in your sport. Practice makes permanent. Perfect practice makes perfect. As you probably know, the streamline is the most important position in swimming. Every swimming athlete spends a lot of time trying to perfect the body position that's going to get them the greatest distance off the start and turns, as well as improve every single stroke. The streamline is the most critical skill in our sport. Our athletes here are working on getting their backs flat against the mat and their necks extended as much as they can, so we eliminate any daylight in between their lower backs and their necks, getting a nice flat position. Once we have that established, we'll extend the legs straight out. Why don't we go ahead and do that, making sure to eliminate any curve in that lumbar region, in the lower back. Very good. Let's go now into a streamline, and before we do, very simple position. Take one hand, put the other hand directly on top, fold the thumb around the outside, make a hand sandwich, and extend your arms straight up top behind the ears. Let's see our athletes do that now. Coming into a streamline, but making sure they keep their backs and necks flat against the mat. Great streamlines, and again, the most important position in swimming. As soon as we have the streamline established on the mats, we'll take it to the wall and work on it vertically. Again, we want to make sure we eliminate any space, and go ahead and flatten up against the wall, any space between the lower back and the neck. Okay, critical areas. Some people would call them speed bumps. We need to get rid of those, get the back flat, the neck flat against the wall, and this is a beautiful job. Both these swimmers, really nice. You can tell Julie has a little bit of space in her neck, but still does a great job with her lower back. It's a tough drill flexibility-wise. Takes a long time to develop this. Once we're sure they're lined up and in position, let's bring the arms straight up like we did on the mats into a streamline where you're lined up straight up and down. Outstanding. Not only is this a great flexibility drill, it's also an opportunity for the coach to make absolutely sure that the athletes, number one, understand the streamline, and number two, have the ability to get their bodies into that right position. This looks great. Let's take it one step further and get them up on their toes for a real streamline. Beautiful. Beautiful. Outstanding. As we introduce each basic stroke, We're going to start by developing a performance platform or a streamlined and stable body position from which you can work all of the basic concepts into the stroke. We're going to start by trying to stabilize our lower back and our neck and create the most long, streamlined body that we possibly can. Then we'll add rotation, kick, and the arm stroke into each stroke, starting with freestyle, working to backstroke, breaststroke, and butterfly, and building one skill on top of the other. We're going to work progressively through each of the 4 strokes. It's very important that we perfect one skill before we move on to the next. Breaststroke's a unique stroke. We're going to spend a while in the water working on a lot of different drills, starting with the kick, building the pull, then putting everything together with a series of coordination drills. Now, I'll tell you, my coach used to say that breaststrokers aren't really swimmers, just like chickens aren't really birds. And they're different from some of the strokes we talked about already, backstroke and freestyle, in the axis of rotation. In backstroke and freestyle, we talk about a long axis of rotation, where everything rotates around a center line in the body. Go ahead and rotate for me, Luke. Rotates around a long axis. Go ahead and throw it around. Good. Breaststroke is different, and so is the butterfly stroke. On breaststroke, instead of rotating along a long axis, we rotate along a short axis, rotating here and balancing off a center core of rotation. Luke, show that axis right in there. Everything's going to be balanced off a short axis of rotation for our breaststroke drills. That's the focus, right in here through the core. The width of the pull in breaststroke is different for most individual swimmers. One drill we use to determine how wide your particular pull should be is done like this. With the athlete facing you, you're going to put your palms up and let the athlete fall forward towards you, okay? And let it go next time. So just fall and find that spot. Right here. That's where Luke fell, and this is the width of the pull. Go ahead and take it back and show the camera how wide his pull should be. Everybody's got a unique width in how wide their particular pull should be, and let's show it again. Make it a little more dramatic. Really fall in. Right there. You can feel it. That's the width of the pull. We like to teach the breaststroke pull-out on dry land. Basically, the underwater pull-out for breaststroke is the same pull you'd use in the butterfly stroke, combined with a good, strong kick and glide. Let's watch Luke standing in the streamlined position, going through what could be called a keyhole pull pattern. Go ahead and pull through the breaststroke pull. Pull out, gets wider, the hands sweep underneath, and then press back towards the hips. Again, straight out front, going a maximum width that we just worked on, hands sweep under the body. At about chest level, your elbows are bent almost 90 degrees, and then we press through this way. So it's here, keyhole pull pattern, right back down. Once the arms are at your side, and you're in the straight position, we need to sneak the hands up the body, bringing the heels up to your butt as you do that, so you can kick yourself forward at the end of the kick out. Okay? Very quickly. Keyhole pull pattern. Sorry, Luke, finish. Hands come up under the body and kick to the surface. Remember, in breaststroke, your head must surface before you begin your first pull pattern. Sometimes we'll teach the kick on dry land. Watch Luke as he brings those heels up, trying to keep them in line with the spine, turns his feet out, Look at that extraordinary flexibility. And then kick a circle. Beautiful. Again, heels up. Turn the feet out. And some athletes are going to have trouble with this position right here, turning those feet out. Look at that flexibility. That, as a coach, tells me this guy can probably swim pretty good breaststroke. And then kick a circle. Outstanding. It's a great way to practice on dry land, especially if you have a tendency to do different things with each foot. Breaststroke, you need to do the same thing with your right foot as you do with your left foot. It needs to stay consistent. The skills, the drills, the techniques that we'll work on in these videos are a synthesis of a lot of different ideas and concepts drawn from a lot of different coaches over a lot of different years. Please understand that it represents a logical progression of skills and drills that will lead you to your desired outcome, which is great swimming technique at the end. Do all these ideas belong directly to Mickey Wender? No, of course not. Most of them were taken from different coaches and ideas and things that make sense to provide, again, a logical framework that will lead to success in the swimming pool. A great way to practice the breaststroke kick before we actually take it out into the pool is using a simple bracket drill, as you see the swimmers at the wall here. For this drill, we want to just slowly work the feet, work your legs through the kick pattern, bringing those heels up, keeping them in line with the spine, and kicking around in a circle. And go ahead, let's work through this at your own speed. Good. As you do it, try to keep your feet below the surface and work through a full range of motion. You can tell looking at Julie's kick here that one of the critical skills, or one thing that we think is very important in actually all of your kick and pull patterns, is the concept of acceleration. As you kick through the breast kick, you want to make your feet go from slow to fast. Julie also kicks down, which will help get her hips up and give her a little bit better hip action when she's swimming the full stroke. You can tell Julie's kick is a little narrower, Luke's kick's a little bit wider, and that's something you work on with your coach and develop over time. Beautiful. Keep it going. Outstanding. Great job. Next, we'll take the kick off the wall, work on the kick boards, and start moving with the breaststroke kick. Here we go. 25. Nice long glide. Kicking through a full range of motion. One way to know how efficient your kick is to count the number of kicks it takes to get down the pool. The fewer number, the more powerful the kick. Great job. The kick in breaststroke is critically important. As we'd mentioned, up to 40% of your propulsive force in breast comes from the legs. Let's watch Luke in a little different body position, putting his hands behind his back this time. Watch how he'll get his hips and upper body a little bit more involved in the stroke, pressing down with his upper body as he finishes the kick. Go ahead, Luke. Told him to not do a pull-out. Great way to work the legs, and you can see how he's balancing himself forward, getting himself onto that front part of the stroke. Beautiful job, Luke. Excellent. Let's take it one step further now. Putting the kickboards on the deck, we'll extend the arms straight out in front, lock your thumbs, and again, just working through the kick, keeping arms extended out, getting rid of the kickboards. Let's go ahead and work through that. And again, no pull-outs yet, just push off. Breaststroke kick is so critically important. In breaststroke, the kick provides up to 40% of your propulsive force, so kicking for breaststrokers becomes a much more important part of the training. Let's make it a little bit more challenging now, and this time we'll lock the thumbs behind the back, and we'll try to get the swimmers to bring their heels up to their fingertips, and again, kick around a circle. Same thing, thumbs locked behind the back. Again, the kick and breaststroke, critically important. We've got to make sure we have this figured out before we can progress to the pull portion of the stroke. As we mentioned, the kick and breaststroke is all important. We try to mix up the body positions and give the breaststrokers a lot of different ranges of motion to work through. Kicking on your back's a good one. Notice how she lifts her feet at the end of the pull. Creates a little bit more undulation. Kicking on your back for breaststrokers can be a very effective tool. Okay. In teaching the breaststroke pull, one visual cue that we use is like this. I want you to imagine that you have a big, giant bowl of ice cream out in front of you, and it's filled with your favorite flavor ice cream. For me, it's Ben & Jerry's Chubby Hubby. Filled. What I want to do is reach out to the edge of the bowl. I want to scrape the edges of the bowl, get as much as I can, and go back for more. Scrape the edges of that ice cream bowl, get as much as I can, and go back for more. The pull in the breaststroke should be about shoulder width, and you should never pull back past your shoulders. Let's learn a drill now that'll help prevent a pull that's too wide or a pull that comes back too far. A very simple drill that we use to teach the proper pull pattern, with the athlete hanging over the lane lines, putting the lane line at their armpits, we simply work through a very simple circular pull pattern with the arms. The reason we have the athlete laying on the lane line is so that it prevents them from committing the two biggest errors in breaststroke swimming. That's pulling back too far and making the pull too wide. Let's watch Luke as he just simply does some circular pull patterns there with his armpits hanging over the lane lines. Go ahead, Luke. Beautiful. His body's extended, his feet are floating, and he's working through just some circular pull patterns. Once we've created a nice, simple breaststroke pull pattern, we'll introduce another drill we call chicken wing stroke. In this drill, you simply keep your thumbs locked, arms extended out in front, and work through the stroke with what we call chicken wing hands. Go ahead, Julie. Notice now her thumbs are locked, keeping them out in front of her body, and working on that great kick that we've already developed. Beautiful. Notice she gets her head down at the end of the stroke and really emphasizes the glide. As we get into the coordination part of the stroke, we've already learned the kick, we've developed a pull, now we've got to put the pieces together. Remember the glide. The glide is the glue that pulls the breaststroke together. Don't forget the glide. The next phase of teaching the breaststroke pull is to make sure that we can develop a great sweeping motion through what we call the in-sweep phase of the pull. So as those hands reach full extension, we develop these muscles. We call this next drill the windshield wiper skull. We want to keep our elbows up and slide our hands back and forth across the water, keeping our body in a great position. Let's watch Julie show us the windshield wipers. Works on the in-sweep, keeps those elbows nice and high. Notice the great body position. Wonderful flotation. Good, strong, smooth sculling. Beautiful job, Julie. The next drill we do to make sure that we've got it the way we want it is called fast hands forward. We use a flutter kick for this drill, and we work on the breaststroke pull while doing a freestyle flutter kick. Don't worry about the timing or the coordination yet, just working on good, smooth breaststroke pull patterns. Let's watch Julie do this drill. Great glide. And fast hands forward. Remember we developed how wide the pull should be earlier? She's getting great extension. That's beautiful. We like the pull we've developed. Luke's worked through all those drills. Now it's time to start working on coordination. On this particular drill, instead of the flutter kick like you just saw, we substitute a dolphin kick. Trying to get 2 dolphin kicks for every pull pattern. Let's watch Luke do breaststroke arms with a butterfly dolphin kick on his legs. Again, on this one, we're looking for great body driving forward, really accelerating. Look at that. Beautiful stroke. We talked earlier about the similarities between breaststroke and butterfly. I think that drill is a dramatic example of how the 2 strokes are very similar. Great job, Luke. We'll progress now to another drill using the coordination, using the timing, and extending the stroke with 2 kicks for every pull pattern. So it's pull, breathe, kick, glide, and then take an extra kick and glide in between each stroke. We call this double kick breast. Pretty fancy title. Go ahead. Remember, the glide is the glue. Look how she gets her head down and rides the stroke forward. That's great distance per stroke. Beautiful job, Julie. We're starting to see how this all comes together. You should be getting a real good picture in your mind of what the breaststroke should look and feel like. Now we're going to try to get a little bit fancy, introducing some hip action. Remember earlier Luke showed us the short axis rotation. He's going to show us now what he means by that. He already did the dolphin kick drill. On this next one, we'll simply insert a dolphin kick in between each of the pulls that Julie just showed you. So instead of a 3-count glide, we'll do a dolphin kick in the middle. Does that make sense, Luke? Yeah. Glide position. Start each stroke with a good dolphin action. Pull, breathe, kick, glide, and then dolphin again to initiate some hips. Let's watch Luke. Let's put it all together. This next drill is the full pull, the full kick, working now on coordination and timing. We call this simply 3-count glide. For every stroke, you do a pull, a breath, a kick, and a 3 count on your glide. Go ahead, Julie. Remember, the sequence of moves in breaststroke is pull, breathe, kick, glide. The glide is the glue. Stretch it forward. Pull, breathe, kick, glide. Pull, breathe, kick, glide. Beautiful. We can have a lot of fun with these breaststrokers. Another drill that we do to work on coordination is just a one-arm, one-legged drill. Julie right now is going to swim with her right arm, kick with her left leg, and she's going to grab her right ankle behind her back and stay in this position the entire time that she's swimming. Go ahead, Julie. Really helps you figure out where the corners are in your stroke. It's a great coordination drill. Helps work on what you're doing with your arms and legs, and Julie does this really well. Plus, it helps you find out who the real athletes are. Let's watch Luke do this same drill. He'll be swimming with his left arm, kicking with his right leg, and again, grabbing his ankle behind his back. Beautiful. Pull, breathe, kick, glide. He's keeping it together, working the coordination perfectly. That's a great job for Luke. Now that we've got the stroke exactly the way we want it, we'll show you the full breaststroke and introduce another little drill that'll have a big difference on your swimming performance. A drill that we use with all of our athletes, regardless of the strokes they swim, are called mini-max 50s. For this mini-max set, basically what we're doing is counting our strokes, getting our time off the clock, adding those two numbers together, and coming up with what we would call our mini-max number. The goal, of course, in these sets is to take the fewest possible strokes in the fastest possible time. So you're taking fewer strokes, getting faster, which is kind of like our sport in a nutshell, or you're doing a combination of those two things. Again, to show you visually, the number of strokes plus your time equals your mini-max number. Let's watch the breaststrokers here go through a set of 350s, and we'll follow their numbers as they go through it. Go. So our swimmers are swimming a 50. They're counting their strokes. They're also getting their time off the clock. I'm going to help them and get their times for them as well, and we'll see how these numbers drop down through the set. .33.4 and 38.8. How many strokes, Luke?
8.
8 strokes for Luke. How many, Julie?
14.
And 14 for Julie. That gives us a number. Let's do number 2 here in 5 seconds. Ready? Go. Notice the nice long distance per stroke, the glides in the right place. 2 very different styles of breaststroke. Say for every breaststroker, there's going to be a unique style. Everybody's a little bit different. 31.6, he got faster. 37.9, so did Julie. How did the strokes go?
8 again. 13.
Outstanding. Last one. This is going to be the best one. Ready? Go. $31-1. And 37-5.
9.
12.
Great job by our swimmers. And this being so early in the season might be an indication of why Luke got a little bit tired towards the end. As the fitness develops, these sets tend to develop really well. As you can see, the goal is improvement. We want to take as few strokes as possible while improving the speed, trying to make this number as small as we can. The most important thing about this set is that it's consistent and that you have something very objective to measure yourself against as you go through the season. The mini-max concept, it's a great one. Use it. Thanks for taking the time to progress through the drills and build a perfect stroke for yourself. Remember, swimming's a technique sport. We need to stay focused on the basic concepts, stay connected, stay in our core, and build proper strokes from the inside out. But remember, swimming is a lifestyle sport. All the training in the world can never make up for a poor lifestyle. We've got to make sure we get enough sleep, we have proper nutrition, we're staying hydrated, and we're doing the little things away from the pool that will lead to big success later on in your swimming career. Remember, swimming is a lifetime sport. All the training in the world can never make up for a poor lifestyle. Live the life of a champion. Who can tell me the main differences between free and back and breast and fly? Free and back are long axis, and we talked about that yesterday. Rotating which way? Side to side, right, exactly, around a long axis that runs straight down the center of your body. And then breaststroke and butterfly are what? Short axis. And the reason the term we use short axis is just the axis of rotation for back and free is longer than the axis of rotation for breast and fly. Remember, what we're trying to do in swimming is create the longest, most streamlined platform for ourselves to work off of and be efficient in the water. So we always start with the streamline. We always start with that line and get ourselves nice and stretched out and long as we can. We take care of those wobbly hips. We take care of the bobbly heads. We hold ourselves in position, and then we rotate. Any other differences? Yeah. Say again? A loading technique? That's an amazing answer. Who's your coach? That's very insightful. What he said is that in breaststroke and butterfly, we use a loading technique, which means we load up the stroke and then we pop through the line, and we'll talk about that later. In breaststroke, we load, we anchor and set ourselves, and then we work through that anchor. And we work through the line. We load and then explode as we go through each of those strokes. Any other differences? Come on, I know there's some more. Yeah. Yeah, backstroke freestyle have the same kick. Breaststroke and butterfly, very unique kick. And let's talk a little bit about breaststroke. We'll transition into that. Breaststroke is a unique stroke. In fact, most breaststrokers tend to specialize a little bit more than swimmers in other strokes. In our program, we have a separate group just for our breaststrokers because their training needs are so unique and they're so different from what other swimmers need. What sort of things are you going to have to focus on as you train your breaststroke as compared to the others? What sorts of things become more important? Yeah. Say again? Getting your hips up in breaststroke and butterfly is a great one as we load and explode through the line, getting the hips up. What else? Huh? What about it? Okay, I didn't hear everything you said, but one thing you said that I did really latch onto is the glide in breaststroke. Breaststroke's the only stroke where we have a period of time where your body's not moving, where we're gliding and extending our bodies out. Let's get our coaches ready to hop in and show us some breaststroke as we talk about it. What are some of the most common mistakes people will make in breaststroke? Separating the feet so that your legs aren't doing the same exact thing as they kick through the stroke. What else? Timing is off. We're going to try to keep it very simple. Basically, we're going to try to separate the pull, the kick, and the glide. And those three parts of the stroke are going to be separate. Remember, we talk about that line and getting streamlined. We want to make sure every stroke ends with your arms extended out and your head in line. Let's watch our breaststrokers here. We'll see April 1st. She has a tendency to lift her head up a little bit, but she comes forward and gets it into a line. In fact, I try to have her angle her eyes down about 15 degrees more forward than she's doing right there. When we teach the breaststroke today, we're going to start as we do with all strokes in the streamlined position. Your coaches are going to work you through some balance ups. Just make sure your line is firmly established and that performance platform is in place so that we have something to work off of. We're then going to go to the kick, and we're going to work through a wide variety of body positions in kicking, starting with your arms out in front. We'll use a kickboard. We'll do some kicking without a board on your back, on your front, and then we'll transition into the pull. We'll teach you the pull with several different drills, and you'll hear me say this a lot, but you need to make sure you keep your arms in front of your body. Don't let your elbows come back too far. The number one error that people make in breaststroke pull is that they pull too wide and their elbows come back a little too far. We're going to keep the whole pull out in front here. Who can tell me the timing in breaststroke? How does it go? What's first? Pull. Then what? Breathe. Then what? Kick, glide. But pull, breathe, kick, glide. The glide is the glue that pulls everything together for you. We've got to make sure we glide. We'll do some timing drills, some 3-count glides and things like that to elongate and stretch out our glide. Any questions about breaststroke? Yes, ma'am. Great question. The rule is on a breaststroke push-off, pull-out, when must I surface? Okay, the rule is your head must break the surface before your arms go wider than shoulder width on your first pull. Does that make sense? It's basically that first stroke, you've got to get your head to the surface before your arms break shoulder width. If you do another underwater stroke, they might disqualify you and raise their hand. That's a great question. The breaststroke pull out, and I'll get to that in a minute, is basically one long butterfly pull with a breaststroke kick to recover. It's just one big, long butterfly pull, which is freestyle, doing both arms at the same time, isn't it? Butterfly, we already talked about that pull pattern yesterday. Then as your hands come forward, you sneak your hands up the center line of your body, your feet are coming up, and you kick and glide to the surface. Questions about the pull-out? That was a great one. Any other questions? Yeah.
For the streamline, would your hands have to be like this or this?
The question is your hands come from underneath your chin forward? Do we want our palms pitched down, or do we want our palms rotated up? We're going to work on that individually with each camper. We're going to talk to you about what your club coach recommends, but that's an individual thing based on what's most efficient for your body type. And your lane coaches, your experts in technique, will be working with you on what's going to work best for your particular stroke. Okay, let's get started. Remember, we said we were going to start teaching breaststroke with the legs. Okay? We've already established a great body position. Everybody's got a nice, solid line that they're working with. Their performance platform is exactly how we want it to be. Okay? Now we're going to introduce the breaststroke kick. I want to just show you first on dry land a very common error that people have in breaststroke. I'll do it on the block here. That as your feet come forward, you want to make sure you draw your heels up in line with your spinal column. A lot of times people will drop their knees down here, create a lot of frontal resistance with their legs. We want to keep our body extended out, draw the heels up in line with the spine rather than letting your knees drop down this way. Does that make sense? Draw them up, feet turn out, and we just kick a circle. Okay, any questions about that? Let's watch April on the wall here. Just going through a full range of motion, and we'll do some bracket drills to make sure everybody's got it the way it needs to look. If I were coaching April right now, I'd try to have her make that kick a little narrower. Once we get you on the wall looking good, we'll take it off on a kickboard. And Hannah will show you just about halfway down, halfway back on a board. Notice she draws those heels up, turns the feet out, and kicks a circle. Really nice. Try to get it, once we've got the general shape of the kick the way we want it, we'll try to get a little bit of downward motion to the kick so that your feet are pointing down as you finish. Okay, April's going to do some breaststroke kick on her back, arms at her side, and we want to keep the knees below the surface. It's a great way to prevent dropping the knees. Watch this one. Keeping knees below the surface, and she's kicking her feet up into a little dolphin-like motion at the end of each kick, kind of lifting feet to the surface. Hannah's going to go on her front with her thumbs locked behind her back. Once we're sure you're drawing your feet up in the proper manner, we're going to make sure you get your heels all the way up where they need to be. This drill, you lock your thumbs behind your back, bring your heels up to your fingertips, and then kick through. Again, thumbs lock, go ahead. Heels up, and kick through. She locks her thumbs. And we'll work through the kick that way. Okay? Remember how important the kick is in breaststroke. We spend a lot of time on it. Your coaches might not get beyond the breaststroke kick this morning because they're going to make sure that it looks exactly the way it's supposed to. Once we've perfected the kick, we're going to go to another kicking drill, but we'll add the arms to it a little bit. And this time we'll lock the thumbs out in front instead of behind. Lock them out here, and we'll just go through a little breaststroke pull just to slowly get your arms initiated into the stroke. So just little pulls like that. Beautiful. Excellent. Now we're going to do some lane line drills, and let's have April come out to the middle there, and Hannah come out to the middle. We're just going to work our arms through a simple circular pattern using the lane lines as a guide so we don't pull back too far. It's a great way to just start working on the pull. Once we've kind of shaped out the pull, we're going to work on the in-sweep. This is a real important part. And this is when your hands come from the back part of the pull, back in here. They sweep forward, real clean. And this drill we call windshield wipers. It's a sculling drill. You're going to set up your line, position yourself, laid out in the water with your head down, fingertips pointed towards the bottom, elbows lined up with shoulders, and we're working through windshield wiper motion here. April does this vertically. Hannah has a tendency to shift elbows forward and be right out in here. Both of them are correct, just a little different style. Watch April first. So we're working the in-sweep. If you need to breathe, just lift your head up, take a breath, and stick it back down. Really good. Go ahead, Hannah. Same drill. Same way. Come on back. Working on developing that in-sweep. Excellent. The first coordination drill we're going to do is called double kick breaststroke. Basically, for every stroke that you do, you're going to take 2 kicks. Look back here. It's just simply pull, breathe, kick, glide. Then with your arms out in front, take an extra kick and glide and count to 3. So it's double kick breast. All the skills we've learned just doing 2 kicks for every 1 stroke with a 3 count glide in between each one. Go ahead, April. Excellent. On this drill, it's the same thing. It's pull, breathe, kick, and glide. And then in between every stroke, we're going to do a dolphin kick, a butterfly kick, to get our hips up. So arms are out. It's dolphin kick, breathe, kick, and glide. Dolphin into the pull. Get your hips up. So hips are overhead as we start that first pull, and then go through the full stroke, kick, and glide. Okay? So it's just simply a dolphin kick in between. April, ready? Go. Good. There we go. Look at that. Beautiful. Just gets those hips going, makes it very rhythmic. We do a lot of work with our butterflyers who swim the IM using these types of drills to try to make breaststroke as much like butterfly as we can. And it really helps our flyers, we've noticed, with breaststroke to try to make it a lot like butterfly. With this video series, we've worked primarily on technique for the 4 competitive strokes. Very simple, basic skills that will make a huge difference in your swimming performance if practiced over time. If you felt like the drills and skills we've worked on this tape were effective, you might want to consider purchasing freestyle, backstroke, or butterfly. People responsible for producing and developing these videos: Husky distance coach Janella Bart, Husky sprint coach Ricky Perkins, and Husky breaststroke and middle distance coach Mr. Joe Dykstra. Thanks, guys.
Congratulations on accepting the challenges of competitive swimming, the greatest sport on planet Earth. Remember, success in swimming has nothing to do with what you do compared to what somebody else does. Success in swimming, success in life, is about being the best that you can be. It's about challenging your limits, testing your potential, being the best that you can be. Congratulations on accepting the challenges of competitive swimming. And thanks for playing with us here at the University of Washington. Have a great day.